welcome to Knitting Books etc. My name is Cristina and today I'm here to do a tag because it's Tuesday, so I decided to do Tag Tuesday. And the tag I'm going to do or to answer is I saw it in Tilly's shelf last week, and it's the last 10 books tag, which was created by Marc Nash. I will link that both videos, Tilly's video and Marc Nash's video, on in the description box down below. So the last book you didn't finish, that's the first prompt. And the last book I didn't finish, I DNF'd, is The Invisible Life of Adele Larue. I think it's the name here. I will try to put, I don't have the book, I will try to put an image here if I can find how it's done. And it was kind of a disappointment to me because the premise of the book seemed interesting, and I thought that I would like it because I like those books with that don't have a linear time story or timeline, so where there are some jumps in time and things like that. And the idea of the book seemed interesting. The idea being that Adele makes a pact with some type of demon, I don't know, and she will live forever, but no one remembers her. So as soon as they turn away from her, as soon as she's out of someone's sight, they will forget her. And it looked like a book right up my alley, but I don't know why I was listening to the book in audiobook because I had a credit to, and I could buy it without spending money. I couldn't get into the book. I don't know why. I think it bored me. Perhaps sometime in the future I will try it again, but for now it wasn't for me. Number 2, the last book you reread, and the last book I reread, I talked about it here, it's The Tempest. So I read this book or this play several times already, but I had to read it at university, and then I read it several times, and now I am following a kind of a personal plan of reading through all the plays of William Shakespeare, because there are some plays which I never read. So I am going through the plays with the help of that audiobook I mentioned here, which for me it's been great. It's been an experience I am enjoying a lot, reading while listening to the players performing the play. The last book you bought, it was this, and the reason I bought them is that I watched some starter kits by Steve Donoghue, who has become the bane of my existence because he makes me spend money I shouldn't. But what I meant is that he has a starter kit that he recorded some years ago, I think, which are about the Western canon of literature, and there he mentions Donne, and I remember reading some of his poems at university as well, but well, I remember that I read them, I don't remember the poems themselves. So I wanted to, so this was the last book. It actually arrived today in the post. I read the first poem just out of curiosity to see, and it's an erotic poem about a flea. So that was interesting. I remember once reading a similar funny poem actually about a mosquito by a Brazilian author, but this one was rather funny, although there are some words or that I don't understand, and this book has several notes, but not notes on the meaning of the words, not explanatory notes if you want. There are notes about where the poem should did appear, etc., but not notes explaining the meaning of some of the words, which I will have to then try to find. But I am pleased. So this is actually, this was, I didn't choose the edition per se. I wanted an edition with his poems, and this one is Everyman's Library, and it's a nice looking book actually. So next, so this was number 3, the last book you bought. The last book you said you read but didn't. Again, I don't normally do that. Either I read them or not, but as many people, it happens to many people. I thought I'd read it, but maybe I didn't. I'm not sure actually. What I mean is that this was a book that we had to read in high school, so secondary school here in Lisbon, and I might have read some bits. I don't know. I really want to read it. I had already shown this here. It's one of the the latest books I bought, and so here it is. The last book you wrote in the margins of. So I'm reading the Brothers Karamazov, so I took some notes. Here, I opened and I wrote here, state versus church. So I am, for many years in my life, I was one of those people that were very precious about the books. I still am a little bit, but I remembered even a neighbor that borrowed the book from mine, and she was afraid to open the book because she knew how I was with them. I think that I also didn't used to write on books, and my mother was the person that influenced me because she was always saying that the only people that can write on the books are the authors. So she didn't allow us not even to put our names in the books. She said that there was a thing that's called the ex libris, where that would be the only place where you could read. And for example, actually this book has here a space where I can put my name. When I went to the university, of course, all this changed because I had to write on my books. And so I learned, in a way, that it was all right to write on books. So now I still don't write with pens. It depends on the type of book, but literary books that, especially classics that I want to read and reread and make them mine in a way, I do write, but not with pens yet. There's something I never do, and I cringe when I watch YouTube and I see people doing it, dog earing the pages. I hate that. It really makes me shudder when I see that, or people talking about that. I have learned with BookTube a technique that I think I'm going to use, which is using color tabs, tabs, and also post-its, where I can write on the post-its with a pen if I want. And I also sometimes write on a small notebook, either quotes or things that I find funny or interesting or whatever, and also my impressions on the books. I now am, in a way, disciplining myself to write on a kind of a journal about what I read, and sometimes I put cards, like type 3x5 cards, where I can also write some notes. So that's how I deal with books. The next one is the last book you had signed. So I am now less shy than I was before, but I am a very introvert person. And when I was younger, I used to be very, very shy. I would never hunt for autographs or signed books. A friend of mine, who is actually my ex-husband, he would go, and I said that he would go and kill authors, because some of the authors we met, he would go and stand in a queue to have the book signed, and some days or weeks or after, the author would die. It happened with William Golding. He came here and attended my university with some lectures and things like that, and I remember seeing him, a very nice person. Of course, I never approached him. He actually talked to us and in a coffee break and so on. But so my friend went and had some books signed, and some weeks later he died, William Golding. Then Anthony Burgess also. So we saw him in London when we were studying there in our Erasmus program, and there was an event where he then signed some books, and he did sign the books. It was, I think, his journals, 2 volumes of his journals, and then some weeks later he died. So I said that he would kill the authors with the signings thing. But some years ago, this author came here to a bookshop nearby, and of course I didn't go to the event because, again, I said I was very, very, very shy, and I would never do that. But he went there and had my book signed. This is a Portuguese translation of the Jostein Gaarder. I don't know what's his name. I think he's Norwegian. And I think that the title in English is Sophie's World. And so he got, this book is so, the book signed for me. And it says para Cristina, which is to Cristina, and then it's signed. So I have a signed book, although I didn't ask for it. Next, the last book you lost. I don't lose books. I never lost a book where I couldn't find it, but I lost many books in my by necessity. I had to move, and then I didn't have space to have books, so I sold some, I gave away some, I even left them on trains and things like that to be found by other people. Some of them I regret having lost them, but that's how it is. The last book you had to replace, so it's the same. I just showed 1984 because I remember having had that book before, and now I replaced it. The last book you had an argument over. So when I was watching Tilly's video, I was agreeing with her. She mentions that the last book she had an argument about was Emma by Jane Austen. This is an old copy I have where you can see that I lent this book sometimes and I read it, and it's a little bit damaged. But this is my favorite book. I love Jane Austen, and Emma is my favorite. And I too watched, well, I'm always arguing about it because some people don't like the characters, some people don't like the book, and I'm always saying, what? So, but Tilly was talking about the film, the last film, the latest one, the 2020 version, which I saw. I collect versions, so I don't have one, the oldest one, I think, which I have to find, but I have the Gwyneth Paltrow's version. I have the modern adaptation, Clueless. I have a version with Kate Beckinsale, and I have the TV miniseries, which is, I think, my favorite version, which is again a little bit unfair because of course it's a TV series, so it has the length of the series makes it possible to be better, if, in my opinion. And then this last version has good things, like the clothes are beautiful, so it's visually beautiful, but then there are some decisions they made that I don't agree. So Tilly mentions the nosebleed in that the romantic scene, that it's not romantic at all, because I don't even think that Mr. Knightley says the words that normally are the most romantic words here, where he mentions that he rode through the rain and so on, and several other aspects. So I don't know why that scene appeared. And then there are other scenes on the film that or decisions they made that I don't agree. Mainly, for example, I mentioned this in a comment, that the way they portrayed John and Isabella, which are the brother of Mr. Knightley and the sister, Emma's sister, I didn't like that. And there are other aspects that, well, of course, I know this book almost by heart, so it's difficult to be pleased with the film. But this one had so many, even Emma's father, for example, it's nothing like the character in the book, and it's not that I didn't like, but the film, or that I didn't like even the way they portrayed, for example, the father, but it's as if it were a different story for me, not Emma, okay? So, and then the last prompt is the last book you couldn't get hold of. So, a group of online friends are doing, with Kate Howe and other booktubers, they are doing what's called the stitch and listen thing. Okay, and the idea is that we listen to an audiobook while you do something that you like to do, like cross stitch, crochet, in my case knitting. And the book they chose was the book by Daphne du Maurier, The King's General. And I couldn't find an audiobook because it's one of those irritating things that it's a geographical copyright restriction, which I cannot understand, because who has the copyright for that? It's not available anywhere. So I don't understand those things, and I don't want to. They are annoying, and people should be able to read everything they want all over the world with no restrictions. In this case, to listen to the audiobook. So I don't know why, but I cannot listen to it. So I decided to listen and stitch to another book. So this is the last 10 books tag. And I'm of course not going to, I'm going to tag Isabella from the font. Okay, I remember that. I like her. So Isabella, please answer this tag. And whoever watches this video, please consider yourselves tagged if you didn't already answer to this. So see you next time.